Alright everybody, welcome back to another episode of Eatin Cheap. Today we are going to, with my wok, tackle some chicken and egg fried rice. First step, you'll need the rice. Best case scenario, you're going to use rice that has been already cooked and about a day old. If it goes about a day, it'll want to not break apart as much whenever it gets to the frying, but it'll still have that not super crunchy as if it was raw. Whenever we season it, we're going to use some pink Himalayan salt and some rosemary. Westernize it a little bit. It's not going to be authentic. Don't have the money for fully authentic. You're definitely going to want to start by heating up your pan, because as a wok is supposed to, it's supposed to be fully heated before you use it. Of course, our eggs, just the basic, great value. In this case, I'm going to be using 6. A small pack of chopped tenderloin, close to diced as you can. And then close to diced also, I have onions and carrots. You can use broccoli, you can use peas, you can use pretty much whatever vegetables that can be diced. I personally usually do broccoli. Some of the people eating this aren't liking of broccoli very much. A traditional fried rice is going to have peas in it usually as well though. I personally don't like peas, so I'm omitting that. And then some soy sauce near the end, and vegetable oil to begin. Now, this specific vegetable oil is going to give it a little bit deeper of a flavor, just because I have actually used it previously for chicken, and since there's going to be chicken in the meal, just want a few tablespoons, enough to get a nice coating around everything. You want to try to not spill it like I just did. But the first thing we're going to do is get the chicken in there so that it can get all nice and cooked up. So chicken goes first. And this is where we're going to put the rosemary and the salt. We're not going to do a whole lot of salt, because at the end, whenever we do the soy sauce, that is going to add a lot of salt into the dish. You want it to be on a rather high temperature. All of this stuff is supposed to cook rather quickly. So we'll get that chicken in there and finished. Price line for this meal, the pack of chicken was $6. The rice, the amount that I made was probably about $3 of rice. Of course, pretty much all of this is just great value. So you don't really got to deal with all of the, oh, but what brand? Most of the stuff that I use throughout all of my videos is going to be great value. So you don't got to worry about that. The oil was, I think, $1. The spices, of course, we already had from previous videos. If you do have to buy new, of course, it's going to be maybe 3 cents for how much you put in it. But the jar itself is going to be about $1. The carrots, I used a 1 pound bag of it, which was $1. And the onion was, I think, 60 cents, somewhere near there. So altogether, this meal, that should feed around 7-8 people minimum. About $10 to $15, depending on how much chicken you get, how much of any other meats, because you can do this with pretty much anything. You know, egg, chicken, shrimp, beef, crab. Fried rice is a rather universal meal that can be used for pretty much anything. The only major requirement is the rice, of course. So, the chicken is all nice and cooked. Time for the veg. And we're just going to dump it all in there. And we're just going to stir it around, let it sweat a bit. And we're definitely going to make sure before we do anything major with the rice and all of that, we're going to make sure that all of the carrots are pretty tender. Because, you know, every now and then you'll get some that are slightly different size. And that means that they'll take a tiny bit longer to cook. We're going to add in just a little bit more of that oil, just to get in a little bit more liquid for it to cook and burn off of. And we're not going to do anything with draining, because since the rice is a little bit old, we're going to be able to have it absorb most of the oil that we cooked with. So we definitely just want to make sure that we get the carrots nice and soft. And we just want to keep making sure that we keep the pot moving, because if it doesn't, then a lot of the pieces at the bottom are going to want to try and burn. Test and see if any of the carrot has lost its hardness yet. Not quite yet. They're getting there, but they're not quite ready yet. Probably stir it around about 5 minutes or so. Just the big thing is make sure to keep it on a rather high heat. And then once we've got the carrots are going to be the big issue. The rest of it's going to be rather easy. But carrots like to take a little bit longer. So once we think the carrots are about halfway, that'll work. We start putting in our eggs to mix in. So just tap it once on the table, split it in half. don't ever tap it on the side, because then you're just going to have a big old streak running down the side. Just want a nice quick tap and then separate it where you tapped it. We are going to use all 6 eggs here, because we have multiple people who are going to be eating this. And then you just want to make sure the yolk is broken up, and then start to just kind of, as if you're making scrambled eggs. That's the big thing. That way the egg gets to be part of the whole dish. That's why we added it last. Of course, other people, like I said earlier, it's a universal dish that can be done any number of 1,000 ways. This is just the way that I'm doing it. The big thing is you just want to make sure that it is completely cooked egg. And then after we get to that point where it's basically just a big old scramble, we're going to add in the rice. Since the rice has already been cooked, it's basically just a matter of heating it up. Of course, you didn't have to, if you're low on time, or if you just really don't care to use a knife to chop up your onions and such yourself, you can always go get pre-cut veggies. They'll be a little bit more expensive versus the amount that I make here, but not everybody has the same abilities. So if you're just real bad with a knife, don't care for learning, or even just practicing, then you can just buy the pre-made. But that's not what this show is about. This show is to teach you guys about how to do it all from majorly fresh, at least. So the egg is all cooked. Now we add in the rice. And we're going to kind of try and separate it up just a little bit. I did not do it well, but that's okay because we can separate it in the pan. Just want to pretty much just pound it all in and then make sure that it gets all mixed up. And like I said, if this looks like a lot, you're right. There's going to be multiple people eating this, so I made a rather large amount. And then once you've gotten it all broken up and mixed a bit, the last ingredient can go in. Just a bit of soy sauce. Maybe for this size, it was about a few tablespoons. You just want enough to where you can get it mixed in with everything else that's cooking. And I'm glad I didn't make any more because I just about maxed out my pan. I've got little pieces flying around everywhere. But hey, home cooking isn't always the cleanest thing. We've made fairly clean dishes until now. This one, especially since I used all fresh ingredients, takes just a little bit more love and care than the others. So we've got everything all mixed up nice and pretty. Turn off the heat. It will start it will continue cooking just a little bit past. So just make sure that everything you keep everything turning. Of course, you can remove it from the heat to help it cool down faster. But we have everything all mixed up and ready for consumption. And that is my chicken and egg fried rice. So, as you can see, I made a bit of a mess. It will be cleaned up, obviously. But this has been my egg and chicken fried rice for Eatin Cheap. If you like the video, leave a like. It helps the channel more than you might think, because it helps other people see this content in their recommendeds. It'll help your friends on YouTube and all that go, hey, what was that in your video feed? Can we watch it? And then also subscribe if you want to be able to see all of this faster with updates and in your feeds. So this has been my egg and chicken fried rice for Eatin Cheap. See you guys.